Well, we are here in the neighborhood with someone that I've known for, gosh, more than 30 years, although it's been many, many years since I've last seen and spoken to this actor. There's a guy named David Mogentale. And let me tell you, I remember him back from my early days of reviewing theater for places like Backstage. And I also used to write news stories for Playbill. And I would go down to the 29th Street Repertory to see shows that were more dark and violent and Chicago-like than a lot of what else was being done off and off Broadway. They particularly chose plays that were visceral in the way that Chicago theater was. And so the guy who was essentially running 29th Street Rep and choosing those plays, and most famously starring in one of them, aka Killer Joe, which basically made that and Bug made Tracy Letts his name, is this fella here, David Mogentale, who, and I swear to you, these two things, and it's going to take a moment or two, but I need to tell this story because they are barely weirdly connected, and yet they happened within about 3 weeks of each other. So when my wife and I were visiting New York a couple of weeks ago before the start of the semester, when we took a long walk uptown to go to a museum. And on the way back, we're passing a thing, and we pass this place that's been in New York for years and years and years, this restaurant that my cousin, who lived on the Upper West Side, raved about. And he said, Dave, have you ever eaten at Barney Greengrass? And I'm like, no, I've heard of it. I've just never had the opportunity. I haven't gone. He said, what's the matter with you? You're a New Yorker. You're Jewish. How have you never gone to Barney Greengrass? And for years, he's been hawking me about this. So we actually passed Barney Greengrass. And my wife was like, Dave, you got to go. And I'm like, nah, it's expensive. And it's, we're going back to the hotel. So, Dave, your cousin Adam has been telling you, you have to go to this place. So I'm like, kind of, I really do want to go to this place. So I hocked some jewelry to buy half a pound of sturgeon from Barney Greengrass, the sturgeon cake. Because I didn't even know what to order when I'm in there. I'm like, okay, it's a wonderful place if you're a Jew of a certain age, because it's got like boxes of matzah and like Bosco syrup and Dr. Brown's. I mean, it's just nuts. And I go there and they got these counter guys who are old and gruff. And I'm like, okay, I tried it. And if I tell you, I sat outside on a little table and ate half a pound of sturgeon. It was the most wonderful, orgasmic mouth experience. Well, apart from pastrami and things like that. So, okay, that's part one of the story. I will get to our interview, I promise. So that's part one of the story. And this happened back in August. So about 2 weeks ago, I was thinking, I was looking at some old reviews and things and looking over stuff on the website that I curate, TotalTheater.com. And I'm like, oh, 29th Street Rep. I wonder whatever happened to 29th Street Rep. I wonder whatever happened to David Mogentale. So let me Google. Let me see where he's doing theater, what he's doing, if 29th Street is itinerant and doing plays in other places. And then I see an article about this guy done about a year and a half ago on Tablet Magazine. And I mean, boing, he has been for years now a waiter, a famous waiter at Barney Greengrass. And yet, is it Greengrass or Greenglass? Greengrass, right?
Barney Greengrass.
Grass.
Grass.
I don't think you were there the day that I walked in. You might have been.
No, I don't. I would have remembered you if I actually saw you.
I mean, because I still look like
You look pretty much the same.
Really?
Yeah, no, you were kind of bald then too. I think.
It probably was.
Yeah,
balding. I'm not this bald, but balding.
Not that bald. No, you were a little bit more handsome and less bald.
Thank you much. But yeah, so I don't think I saw. Also, you wouldn't have waited at me because I was at the counter. But here's the deal. That at that moment I was like, holy crap, I've got to get him on the show. I've got to talk about his years at 29th Street Rep, and I've got to get him talking about working at Barney Greengrass. So here is the man. He's also been on Broadway. He understudied the role of Biff on Broadway in a revival of Death of a Salesman, one of the great revivals of anything I've ever seen with Brian Dennehy, and who played the mother? It was
Who
Elizabeth
played who?
Elizabeth Franz. She was the.
Elizabeth Friends. Yeah, yeah.
They were just great. But I saw Kevin Anderson. I didn't get to see you because you were the
I
other.
never went on.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, were you hoping maybe the last week that of the run?
Well, yeah. Well, I
You
got a great story about that.
tell
I
me.
mean, I did that. That was my first understudy role. It was my first Broadway role. And I really didn't want to do it because I just didn't want to understudy. And my agent kept on bugging me. And then David Richenthal, who produced it, actually called me 3 times at home and said, David, we want you to do this. So I met with him and I said, David, listen, um, I will do it, but I got to have a 6 month out. No one got a 6 month out in that whole cast except for me and Kevin Anderson, who played Biff. So what happens is, and Richenthal said to me, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I don't care. Richenthal said to me, as far as I'm concerned, David, if Kevin leaves, you got the part. Can you put that in writing, David? Arthur Miller has a lot to say about this, but I just tell you, this is what I said. So again, it was never written down. I signed the contract 6 months out, and I had my theater at 29th Street Rep, and I just loved doing plays there. That was my life. That's my proudest achievement, is what I did there, and you saw so much of it. So I finally decided to do it. 6 months goes by. It's a huge hit. Everybody stays after it except for Kevin Anderson. Now, um, the thing I found out once I was doing the play was Brian Dennehy, they had such a bad understudy for Biff, and Kevin Anderson missed like half the shows. He's like a California, he's from Chicago, but he's like a sensibility of a California guy, doesn't miss his shows late, just sits on the beach, wants to just hang out, missed half the shows. The understudy was so bad that Denny said, listen, you fucking get me somebody good or I'm not doing the play. So Bob Falls auditioned me and he kept on going on and I didn't want to do it. And I kept on getting these calls. Bob Falls calls me at home. Richenthal, Bernie Telsey calls me at home. It's like, for what, to understudy the part, guys? And that was the reason, because Denny, he knew that Kevin Anderson was going to miss half the shows. Now, he didn't miss one show because he wins the Tony, he wins the Outer Critics Circle, he wins the Drama Desk. He just is loving it. 1,000 people are giving him a standing ovation every night. They're taking him out for drinks. So I had a friend, an Italian guy, and he said to me, listen, you haven't gone on yet, and your contract's going to be up pretty soon, and you're really not going to do it. And I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm really not going to do it. So he goes, I said, Kevin goes out and he runs up and down the street before that scene when he's out of breath coming into the bar lounge with the prostitute. There's a scene, I don't know how well you know it, but Death of a Salesman, there's a scene there. So he gets tired because he runs up and down the street on Broadway. What I can do is I can really, and I'll do this for you, David, I can get a bat and I can just like hit him in the legs. And yeah, he'll be gone for a while, but you could have a couple weeks. And I said, that's a pretty good idea, but I really just can't do that. So we never did that. Kevin
No,
never missed a
good.
show.
Into
When
the
it comes
Tanya
down to
Hardy
the end,
hiring thing.
when it
Yeah.
comes down to the end here, they don't even audition me. They audition Ron Elder, Michael O'Keefe, this guy, that guy, and I was pissed. And I went to Richenthal because they were going to bring in Ron Elder. Just Ron Elder got the part. Ron Elder didn't know his lines. He was doing another play off-Broadway. He came in, didn't know his lines. He wasn't going to go on. Brian Denny, he was furious. He's like, this guy doesn't even know his lines. Get David, blah, blah, blah. So they call me up. They call my agent up and say, and I said to them, listen, I didn't even get an audition. I'm not doing it. And Bob Cole was the general manager. He goes, whatever David wants, we'll give him. And I said, I wanted the part. So I went in to see David Richenthal. And I said, David, here's what you said to me. You said, as far as I'm concerned, you have the part. And I don't even get a fucking audition. What's that about? His response was, you are completely right. I am completely wrong. So I said, so how can I stay? And I left and I did a play called Avenue A for no money down in my little 60-seat theater. And I could have been on for 2 weeks, being Death of a Salesman, getting a standing ovation. Instead of one night, me and Dennehy, Brian Dennehy was a great guy. We'd go out for scotch, we'd get drunk. He just loved me. But I never went on. And he's like, oh, I can't wait till you go. But I never went on. So then the last day he sees me and he sees me going, I'm into Eugene O'Neill and I'm way on top because I'm the understudy and I'm on the 5th floor and I'm walking down the stairs because he's in the wings waiting for his curtain call. And there he is. He looks at me and goes, Mogentale, I hear you're fucking leaving me. And I said, yeah, I'm doing my own stuff. All you guys have your little theaters, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I want to do that, blah, blah. He goes, well, I wish you a lot of luck, shakes my hand, goes on stage to a standing ovation. I make a left, go out into the outdoor, and a bum spits right in my face.
Wait, who?
True story. A bum spits right in my face. That's the juxtaposition between that going that way and that way. That's the juxtaposition. 5 seconds, and that's what happens.
Wow.
So you love that story, huh?
Well, I mean,
I
it tells you so much, man, about like, can I ask you, the life of an understudy? When you, for 6 months, you did have, did you have to go to the theater every single time, wait backstage for the full play or the
Well,
first?
here's the deal. I didn't want to do it so bad that I got concessions done, and then
Yeah.
they didn't want to honor them. And I said, "You promised me that." So number one, I got a 6 month out. Nobody had a 6 month out. So
Right.
when Kev, that's the only reason they were in a bind. They actually had a guy who had no business being Biff because he played it in some little community theater, play the part for 2 weeks, and I went and saw it, and it was like then he was like, I don't know how furious he was because I wasn't, but he was like, like I mean, you have Brian Dennehy yelling down your face like that. You 1,000 people paying $200 a ticket. You better know your stuff. And this guy, he knew his lines, but he was just a little guy, and he's Biff. And so anyway, yeah. At first, I had to be there for a while until I learned my part. You only get to rehearsal like twice a week. You don't get to really rehearse the beginning at all because they're still rehearsing. So if something happens right away, they're very understanding. It's like just go on the book because I try to know my lines just like they did, but they were rehearsing. I was just sitting there. I would go over with my wife. I'd go over things, but wasn't the same thing. And then once we get going and we know the lines and they trust me, I said to them, listen, I said this to Richard. I said, listen, I'm going to work at Barney Greengrass my Saturday and Sunday. I'll do it. Finally, after the end, I'll do it. If I get Saturday and Sunday, I go to Barney's, be on a beeper. In those days, it was beepers, not cell phones. Be on a beeper, and the other days, I'll be there. So that's what they let me do. They let me work at Barney's, make a hell of a lot of money, as an understudy, and just be on call. Never got called. It was a little nerve wracking. It's very nerve wracking doing this understudy stuff because, like I said, 1,000 people, Brian Dennehy yelling you in the face. You know your lines, but do you really? When the lights go up and you're on stage like that, do you really? No one knows. I did True West after that, and the guy just choked. The understudy for the agent, Saul. Lights go up. There's there's John C. Riley. Here's him, and just an
We should
actor's
actually
nightmare.
let me time you
Yeah.
out there just to explain that there was a revival of the Sam Shepard play True West, as you mentioned, with Philip Seymour Hoffman, John C. Riley, and the thing was every other day they would switch roles because it's about these two
Every third day.
I mean,
Every
every third
third.
day.
Every third day.
They would do it the same way, and then they would literally take different characters 3 days later. So you had to be ready to understudy the whole play.
Both parts, both ways.
Yeah.
Different blocking too, not the same blocking. Each character had different blocking. So when I did, listen, my agent's got to stick up for me more. When I auditioned for that one, they gave it to me like right away because I had done Death of the Salesman, even though it never went on, but they didn't care. Someone actually, I had the imprimatur there. You know what I'm saying? I had the imprimatur. So I go in there and I get the part, and they went at both. You had to go both parts both ways. And I said to my agent, I got to get paid more money than anybody but the two stars. She goes, David, there's 4 people in the cast. You're not getting paid more than the agent and the mom. I said, well, then, and I said again, you got to stick up for yourself. The only power an actor has is to say no. I said, well, I'm not doing it. I don't need to do it. I don't care. And she got, and she said, okay, I'll ask him. She calls up Roy Gabay, calls him up. David, you got it. You're making more than anybody but the 2 leads. I said, well, I should. I'm understanding both people both ways.
Right. Yeah, you
Never
really
went
should
on.
get double
Never went
understudy
on.
pay, right? You're
Never
doing
went
the job.
on.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman says to me, "You're never going." No, actually, in the dress, that was an experience. I wasn't promised anything, so it was fine. I did my 6 months. I was fine. I made my money. I was there. That play, I didn't have to be there. I only had to be there twice a week because the stage manager trusted me. He saw what I did. He saw me knowing everything. He showed up. I was there. You got David. Just come see each person each way. So I do that.
Mm.
Other times I was down at my theater. I didn't have to be there. But they basically, I don't know why they're like this. Sam Shepard, was always somebody that I idolized, that I wanted to meet. Well, that was I think, his first Broadway show. It might have been Barry Child before that, but no, maybe Barry Child. Maybe this was his second. I don't know. But Matthew Warchus came up to me before we started rehearsal, right when we were starting, and said, David, here's what we're going to do. You're not going to be in the room with those guys. You're going to just learn your lines in a separate room. I said, what? I said, what's that about? I don't know. That's just the way it wants to be done. And I've never got an answer to this day. My feeling is that they were kind of, and this, I laugh at this, but they were intimidated by me being in a room with those two. And again, Philip Seymour Hoffman was not Philip Seymour Hoffman quite at that time, but he was known. And John C. Reilly was known. They were both stars, not as big as they became. So I actually just was in a room learning my lines, and I knew my lines. I said, so assistant stage manager, okay, I'm done. I'm going to leave. 2 hours later, I got paid more than anybody but the two stars. Was down in my theater doing all the producing stuff, doing all this other stuff. And then I would get fitted for a costume, and John C. Reilly said, what are you getting fitted for a costume for? I said, well, you never know. One of you might get hurt. He goes, we're never going to let you go on. I said, really? What if you break your ribs? And he goes, we're still going on. And actually, Philip Seymour Hoffman broke his rib, and he still went on.
Wow. And later on, of course, Philip said he killed himself. If he only done it when you were understudying.
Yeah, if he only killed himself then, he was a great actor from what I saw in the part of True West, from seeing it a lot, obviously. But he was not a nice guy to me, at least. John C. Reilly, not a nice guy to me, and John C. Reilly, not the actor Philip Seymour Hoffman was.
Oh no, yeah, no. I mean,
they weren't generous at all. I mean,
yeah.
finally in dress rehearsal, and I got to see what they're doing, right? So they finally let me in like the third dress rehearsal second, and there I am in the back, and my wife had given me a little pen light that has a little light on it, so I could write and try and get notes and stuff like that. Well, we're at the Circle in the Square Theater. It's theater in the round, so it's maybe I'm on I don't know, maybe I'm on the 17th row in the back there. I got a call from this David. Phil can see your pen light up there. Turn it off, please. Now, I would never do that if I was a big star. I'm sorry, but then again, I don't know. But maybe I came from a whole different era where you just brutalize each other on stage, and you lived at the theater, and you just get the job done. Where brutal theater lives. It was good. It's True West, but I think a part of it was they didn't want me to ever go on because they basically heard that I basically would have destroyed the set if I ever went on, because they did it with no intermission. And I think they heard that I'm this kamikaze off-off-Broadway actor. I think I'm just trying to think why this was. So no intermission. And then they have the scene where you have the golf club, and I'm like destroying everything. Well, they never know. Maybe when I'd go on, I'd get that golf club, and I'd just put a dent in each cabinet. Boom, 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 and I can't get off stage. And there's John C. Reilly or Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then I look at them, and then just see what they're gonna do. And they didn't really know that I wouldn't do that, because I don't even know if I wouldn't do that. So that would be my last Broadway experience if I ever did that. But just the idea, the guy who ran the lighting said, if you ever go on, I will be there, and I cannot wait to see this.
Well, yeah.
And I never went on.
I mean, it's mentioned in the article about you in Tablet that part of your email address is Brutal Joe, and the 29th Street Rep motto was where brutal theater lives. I think you just said that, right?
That's right.
What was it that attracted you in forming that company, that you wanted to do theater that wasn't just gritty, that wasn't just, not like Oscar Wilde, but that was like people slamming each other around and dirt bags and the darkest
side. Well, I never saw a play until I was 23 or 24, and I played baseball and very athletic and stuff. Then I saw Steppenwolf do True West with Malkovich and Gary Sinise. Then I saw Steppenwolf do Orphans with Kevin Anderson, and it's funny because then Kevin Anderson and with Terry Kinney it was, and John Mahoney. And I thought, this is what I want to do. This is what, because I was so stupid when I got out of college. Yeah, I had a degree, but I didn't want to have a business, and I just wanted to be like a famous soap opera actor, famous. That's why, and I was so stupid. And then once I got into it and studied it, I really wanted to do that kind of stuff. But nothing was appealing to me hardly. Then I saw them do that when I was first starting, and said, that is what I want to do. Now they had already got the market on that a little bit, but we did just as maybe more brutal. No, but in the early years of Steppenwolf, we probably were about the same. I try and pick brutal plays, but the key is to pick good brutal plays. Yeah, there's True West, good. There's Killer Joe, good. There's High Priest of California, which is not even a known play, but good play, psychologically brutal. Other plays, Belly of the Beast, brutal, but it had to be a good play. I couldn't just get a. So I had just read so many plays, and you got to remember, I never even went to a play till I was 23. But every day I read plays. I had Mary Shen Barnage out in Chicago, one of my friends. She would always recommend. She recommended Killer Joe to me.
Like Mary, we have to. Mary Shen Barnage has been on this program a few times. I've known her probably longer than you've known her. She is quite a close critic friend, and she's
Really?
unnamed. I mean, you know what happened to her about
She had
you
some kind of hip thing.
she had a what do you call a septic thing that just ran through her system and laid her low. And yeah, it's been more than a year. She's even gone to the theater. She's lucky to be alive, quite
I
honestly.
didn't know that because we usually corresponded, but I haven't heard from her in a while. So that's probably what happened. I
Drop
didn't
her
hear.
a note, drop her an email because
Okay.
she's been out of commission for a very long time with illness. But oh God, no, we love Mary. Mary is. I didn't realize that she turned you on to Killer Joe.
She's the one. She's the one. She was writing in some paper, not the maybe it was the Reader, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It was like in 1993,
Could have been the reason.
and she said, "This is a play. You should do this play." Went to Chicago with my brother. 20 people in the audience in North Evanston, Illinois. The next theater, not even the next theater. It was the next theater lab. 34 seats, maybe 50, 40s. I don't know seats. Maybe 12 people were in the audience. It was a cold winter night. We saw Killer Joe with Michael Shannon and
Oh wow.
no one else you'd really know, I think. Michael Shannon and the cast of Killer Joe, and me and my brother went. My brother said, that was unreal. We go out, have a drink, we go to sleep, we have nightmares about that play. I said, I'm gonna do that play. He goes, that was unreal. There was only 12 people in the audience, but that was a magical moment on finding that play.
And not only did you find it and direct it, you starred as Crazy
I
Joe.
didn't direct it. No, I didn't direct it.
Oh,
Wilson, we brought the guy from Chicago to direct it. I played Killer Joe,
yeah.
and we had to get the rights to it, and then there was some buzz to do it in Edinburgh, but I got the rights right before that. Then they wanted to do it in Edinburgh, so I could have said no, but I said, yeah, you can do it in Edinburgh. But once it went to Edinburgh, then everybody wanted to do it on the West End, but they couldn't because we had the rights to it. And Tracy was pissed. He's like, I said, no, Tracy, we had the rights. I came out, I found the first, I had the rights. That's all it is to it. So we did it, and then after we did it, then he kind of, it ran for 3 months. Did you see it at our theater? Did you see Killer Joe at the theater?
I'm pretty sure I saw it at the 29th Street Rep the first
Because
time.
they did it 4 years later with Scott Glenn
Yeah,
and
no, I saw
Michelle
that too.
Williams.
That was when I saw you in it. I know
Okay,
that.
saw me in it at my theater,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the version that they kept on theater on film and tape. They didn't even keep Scott Glenn and Michelle Williams and Michael Shannon version.
Yeah. I saw that
I
one. It was all right. I mean, I don't love to play the way you do.
mm,
I don't love particularly brutal theater. It's not my
mm,
thing.
right.
So I watched it. It was scary when you did it. More scary when you did it than when Scott
Yeah,
did it,
because
honestly.
you're in a little room.
Yeah. It was nice to see Michelle Williams naked, but okay, big
Yeah.
deal. But I don't even like Bug that much. I'm not. Letts is not my favorite playwright, but okay.
Well,
Um,
I get it. Uh, yeah, I get it. I like there was certain. I mean, it was a great that was a great thing just to find for me because it did go right up my alley, and it was very satisfying because I got to do a play that I actually found, did it. Every reviewer came. Vincent Canby came on the Sunday. We got every review. We were sold out every night. It really made it all worthwhile. All the bad stuff that goes through when you're getting a theater going and just the day-to-day thing. And if you don't love it, you got to just do it. If you don't love it, don't do it. But damn, I would live there sometimes. And my wife was so understanding. It was like, no, just stay there. I know what it takes. She was a ballet dancer, so she said, just stay there and do what you have to do. And I did. And I worked at Barney's like just 2 days a week, Saturday and Sundays. I kept that job, and I've had it for 33 years. And that was being able to have that job and do the theater was just great. It was a great two things that I had together.
so I'm first thing I'm curious about is you were doing Trader Joe, Killer Joe off Broadway, off Broadway. Was there a motion? Did you have a thing of maybe we can move this to an equity off-Broadway house?
Definitely. Everybody wanted us to move it. I had Darren is a friend of mine, Darren Lee Cole. I don't know if you know him. He runs the Soho Playhouse. He was going to move it, and he actually moved it there, but Tracy Letts didn't want us to. In that contract, it didn't say we could move it. So we got to 3 months. No one was getting paid. We're getting our equity stuff taken care of. We're getting our pension and our health, but no one was getting paid. We eventually all got paid, but at first we didn't. But I made sure that we were going to get paid if we made money, and we did. We ended up making money on the back end because they did it off Broadway at a real theater. We were charging like what, I don't know, in those days $20 a ticket,
Yeah.
and it was tough. So we did it for 3 months, and people were getting tired. Christmas was coming, and we had to shut it down. And once we shut it down, Tracy was not going to let us open it up again because he saw the potential there, and he had his own company. His company, quote unquote. It was one play that they did called Hired Gun Productions Presents Killer Joe, but that was their company. So he wanted his actors to be in it, or Scott Glenn and Michelle Williams, which ended up happening, but that took 4 years because we fought it. We wanted rights to it. We wanted to be a producer, and they fought us every step of the way. But I finally got what I wanted, even though none of us got to be in it. So, that's showbiz. Look at all the things. Look at the Broadway showbiz stuff. Look at the Killer Joe stuff. So if you don't love it, you do it because you love it. But still, all these near misses and all these things where you could have really had a huge career just never panned out. And maybe part of it is my own hubris, but just look at the example of not deciding not to do that for Salesman. Could be, but I don't necessarily regret anything. It would have been nice to go on Broadway with 1,000 people giving you a standing ovation in the greatest American play of this century.
Yeah. Actually, you must have did you get to meet Arthur Miller?
Yes. I met Arthur Miller twice. He came. When I auditioned, Arthur Miller was in the room, and we talked a little about baseball. He was a big baseball fan. We talked about that. He saw it on my resume that I played baseball, and I forget exactly what we talked about, but yeah, I met Arthur Miller, and he must have died like about 3 years after that. This was in '99. I think he died. I don't know. I'm thinking, if I had to guess, like 2002.
So here's another question about the 29th Street Repertory that David Mogentale founded and ran for all those years. So you had a hit, a legitimate off-Broadway hit with Trader Joe's, eventually got paid, but then the years go on and not everything's a hit, and not even the hits aren't really making money. At what point did it become impossible to?
Well, what happened at the end was, and again, I love, we had done, and I had done every play I wanted to do. I'm sure other plays were going to come around the pike, but I got to do Fool for Love for 6 months. I got to do, again, High Priest of California, which you don't know probably, but it's a Charles Willeford play. And Bruce Weber gave it the best off Broadway for that year. It was the best. So I got to do a lot of stuff I wanted to do, and after a while it gets tiring. But that wasn't it. We lost it wasn't zoned right. And I said to my landlord, she said, listen, there's a bad bathroom, the fan is bad, and I can't get the zoning right because the fan, they got to fix it, and they got to fix something in the bathroom. I said, Tracy, don't do it. They're going to come in here and see this is a theater. They've never come in before, and they're going to shut us down. So I got to do it. So sure enough, they come in one day, and I'm there in the office, and we got to check the fan. And then they come in and look at it, and they say, what is this place? And I said, we just do like workshops. I just do a little monologue work, and said, this is a theater. Wait a second, this is a theater, and you don't even have an exit in the back. You don't have 2 egresses. I said, oh, really? Well, I just have a couple of people here. We just, no, come. You're going to have to shut this down sooner or later. I mean, maybe you can go another couple of years, but you're going to get notices now, and we're going to so shit. So that's what happened. We shut it down because it would have been $300,000 to make a hole on the back end over the fire escape. So I said, and it was about time too. Living there and doing this day in and day out was great fun in a way, but again, great. You miss out on a lot in your life, but I'm kind of driven in one thing, so it was okay, but it just ran its course, and I wanted to make money acting instead of having to sweep floors and stuff and make no money acting. So it ended up that I started doing other stuff, and I was into some video games. I did Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm going to do Grand Theft Auto 6, and I got to do some other things. and I went. Actually, I got to do True West at the Pittsburgh Public. I played Lee at the Pittsburgh Public, which was a great experience. I mean, I knew the part. I went there, I auditioned, I knew it, so they boom away, and you got the part, and I was there, a 700-seat theater, and I'm from Pittsburgh. That was a coincidence. So my mom saw it, my friends saw it. It was a great, great, great experience. I actually got paid money and didn't have to sweep the floor afterwards and check the box office and worry about how much money we have coming in and see who's coming in. I would actually at 29th Street be on stage and I'd be on stage. Oh shit, that guy came in late. Oh, is he gonna get a seat? I'm thinking that to my head. That's what it comes down to. Now, it didn't really affect my acting. I don't know why. I used to have Patrick Hoffman, who runs Lincoln Center, he taped like 7 or 8 of our things. He goes, David, it's like 15 minutes before you got to go on, and you're not even nervous. You're like looking at the seats covered, or do you have the papers down for the reviewers? Blah blah blah. I said, I know, that's my thing. I got to do it. He goes, yeah, but you don't even get nervous. You just like go on. I said, you know what? Preparing is overrated in acting. You just do a couple push-ups and go on stage.
Well, for your kind of theater, maybe. For
What?
Chekhov, well, maybe for Chekhov too. Maybe the way you
Yeah.
would do
Well, I don't know
Chekhov.
about Chekhov. See, that's not my thing. But the
Yeah,
plays I do, just get the adrenaline going,
yeah.
just get it going, and then let's get me on stage and let me go at it.
What role have you played that, because you're obviously a big, burly, voluble, energetic guy. What role have you played that is the least like you? Like the one that we would
Yeah,
be
the least like
surprised
me.
you were cast in.
Um, um, I would say probably the last play we did, The Conversation. I played the part Gene Hackman played in the film. We did the New York premiere of the stage version of The Conversation.
Yeah.
And Gene Hackman is more of a guy who's introverted, doesn't create it, thinks is introspective, and it kind of destroys his psyche at the end of that great story. That's probably the one that's the least like me. I had to do a lot less and just keep it all internal. I would say that was probably the
Yeah,
one.
that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, a way that you get to act and have been for 30 something years, when you have this reputation as big boy, as the waiter at Barney Greengrass,
Yeah.
are you playing the role of the old time, grumpy Jewish deli waiter, or is it you? Or is it somewhere in
No,
between?
it's kind of morphed. When I started, I was so exhausted from my theater stuff that I just wanted to make my money and get out of there. So I had a little bit more of an edge. Now I don't have to worry about, I'd be worried about, damn, did they get the set made yet? That guy come, did he actually put it together? And all these things. So I was a little more worried about that and not worried about the customers. Now it's more of a show. And I think that's my personality too. It's kind of like maliciously seductive, that's my style, chillingly charismatic, I guess. So I'm gruff, but I'm very funny. So that does lend itself to the Jewish waiter mentality. Even though that's me, it is the old a bygone era. And again, the article says that a bygone era of the old Jewish waiter who says, there's a fly in my soup. Well, I don't know what they say. I forget what the joke is,
We
but
charge
there's a
extra for
joke
that.
there.
Yeah.
And I have my own style about it. I like, we sell hats there. I have my shtick. I was, here's my hat. I put my hat on. I go like, I go and I just yell to I say, hey, we're selling these hats. They glow in the dark. Only 4 left. Now you might not look as handsome as me because it brings out the aqua in my eyes, but you'll look very handsome. Look how handsome I look with it on. And look when I take it off, how unhandsome I look. You could be the same guy. Stuff like that.
I mean,
It's fun.
cute. Yeah.
I don't take myself seriously at all. It's just about making money, but it's also about, creating a good vibe, having people have fun. The food sells itself. It's so good, so simple, and they love me more or less. I mean, I'm not kidding myself. If you go to Yelp, you'll see a lot of some reviews about how brutal I am, and the waiter thinks he knows everything, trying to tell me what to do, blah blah blah. I don't know, but most of them are like positive, like that he made the experience, blah blah blah. So, but some people hate me, but that's the way it is with charisma. Some people are going to hate you, and a lot of people are going to like you.
Now, have you ever said something really insulting that maybe you want to take back, or you didn't? Like some guy was a jerk.
Yeah, well, this is a mistake. Yeah, sure. There was once there was it was a woman who was kind of big, a big woman. And I
Oh my.
said to her, so when's oh hi, how you doing, sweetie? Whatever, blah blah blah. When's the baby? I mean, blah, blah, blah. When's the baby due? Blah blah blah. And she said, I'm not pregnant. That was bad.
I've done
I
that.
mean, that was a mistake on me. I mean, but I've just said that. Even today, there was a person, and it's so tight there, and they're at the count, and I had to tell her, I said, sweetie, you got to move a little bit because, I mean, there's boxes, and it's getting to be Yom Kippur, and so she moves a little bit. I said, not there, right there. So she gets pissed at me. Well, you know what? I'm trying to get food. I said, I know, but I got to come back and forth like 20 times, and you got your purse hanging there. And, well, you know what? I don't care. And so we got into a big, not a big fight, but we got into it. And I said, no, look, take your purse, put it on top of the box, and just wait for it there. Then we'll be fine. But I'm coming back and forth there. So you get pissed at me because I hit your purse? I'm sorry. I'm a big guy. I have massive shoulders. You got to, like,
All
stuff like
right.
that.
Wow. So the customer isn't always right. And
Not a Barney Greengrass. Barney Greengrass, I've been there so long that I am a tremendous asset. I'm a tremendous asset no matter if I brutalize the customers or not. Maybe even more than I brutalize the customers because other people see how awesomely brutal I am. Gary's dad, who was Mo, who's dead now, 2002, he'd go to the customers, they'd come and complain about me, and he'd go, darling, there's thousands of you, there's one of him. And that's all.
mm,
So,
that's beautiful.
now Gary's not really like that as much. He's more neurotic. And I mean, you know what, David? You know what, big boy? You know what? You're dangerous. You're dangerous. You're going to say something like, I'll say to someone, and maybe I am dangerous in the world of, DEI and whatever, all these woke things. Maybe I am dangerous. I'd say, I say, yeah, what's your name? I say, the big boy. And they say, why do they call you the big boy? And I say, because I have a big tinkle. Now, David, it's just going to take one person. It's just going to take one
Yeah.
person. That's all it's going to take.
Yeah.
True, but I can't help myself, and I'm still made it after
You
30.
can, yeah, you can. I mean, in this day and age, I
That's
mean,
very funny. I have a big tinkle. They know what it means. I just say it straight out.
yeah. I mean,
Sometimes
I
if
thought
an
you were
old
going to
lady
say
comes, say
something much worse. Yeah, yeah,
big hands. Oh, really?
yeah.
Sometimes I'll just say big
Big
hands. That
hands, big
gets,
glasses, big.
yeah, they get,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Um. So, do you think you'll do? Because you've been moving away and away from acting. Well, you're doing Grand Theft Auto, but do you think you'll do theater again?
Yeah,
Or
you know what? I don't even go to the theater anymore. And I used to see so many plays. I just, after COVID especially, I just don't go anymore. So I am getting away from theater. I don't even know if I would ever want to do theater unless it'd be something that I'd really love. But how many opportunities, to be honest with you, whenever you do plays in New York, off Broadway, even Playwrights Horizons, or I don't know,
Vineyard, or yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're not even going to get. I'm not even going to get a shot at those parts. I have some credits, but not what I need from Yale School of Drama and all these other things. I mean, I'd have easier chance getting a Broadway part, a small part, as opposed to getting a nice part off Broadway. And a lot of these plays, I'm just not crazy about. I don't know. So I'm okay with not doing a play again. I'm okay with just having fun doing a voiceover gig, doing a guest star on a TV show. That's okay. I did the plays. I did 25 of them at the theater. I did other plays, and I enjoyed it completely, and I immersed myself in it. And I didn't come from a theater background. I didn't come from an artistic background. So what I accomplished in my life, I know I really did a lot, and I'm very proud of what I did.
Now let me ask you, David. You to look at you, we think you were like a boxer, bruiser. I mean, you were a baseball player, right? You're certainly an athlete, but you
Yeah,
overcame a pretty heavy, a couple of tragedies actually in your life. One of
yeah.
your own, and one of the wife you were talking about before. So first of all, how are you feeling? Are you
Well, I
fine?
had cancer. Yeah, oh man, I've had a life. It's almost like you don't even can believe that I've actually had this life. But I got cancer in 2001. We were preparing for Full for Love, and I couldn't breathe. And it's a very physical play, and I couldn't breathe, and I thought I had maybe pneumonia or something. So I finally went a week before we opened down to St. Vincent's, which is no longer there, and got checked. And they said, you have a mass on your chest, like 8 centimeters long. And I thought, damn. And so they're gonna have to maybe operate. I don't know what it was. And they did a biopsy and said it's cancer. You have cancer. So they did some more tests. Next day, I started chemo at Sloan Kettering that week. I went to St. Vincent's at first. They gave me the wrong chemo. Then I went to Sloan Kettering. And whenever you think of having cancer and you think about it as being a child, let's say, and I used to think of that and just think of a nightmare if I would actually get cancer. The actual experience of it is way worse than even the thought of it. That's how bad it was. I mean, people would die left and right. I'd be in this room. I'd be getting chemo for. I got more chemo than my doctor said that he's given anybody that he thinks anybody's ever gotten. Now I don't know if that's true. I'm sure it's not. But he said if we get it, we have a chance. You have a chance of living, but your chances is less than 50-50. And if it comes back, you're dead. So I said, what do you want to do? A bone marrow transplant because your brother's a complete match, or do you want to do the chemo for 5 years? And I was like, well, if I do the chemo and then it comes back, I can always do the bone marrow. And he goes, no, you'll be so weak. I'm going to give you so much chemo that you could die from the chemo. So I did the chemo. I was in Sloan Kettering 4 months out of the first 6. It got a little better after it went on, but not really that much better. I did plays. The next year I did full fill-up for 6 months, but I was doing such heavy doses of chemo. Prednisone that they give you was so high dosage. I stayed up for, I basically, no one believes this, but I only slept 2 hours in one whole week. They gave me so much prednisone. I remember when Barry Bonds hit his 73rd home run, I was up at like 2 in the morning and I couldn't sleep. I remember that was that week. And so I just, I finally got through it. It was a miracle I got through it. And again, my wife helped me so much that she gave me on a macrobiotic diet. She cooked for me. I had an angel on earth, my wife. I mean, she's been gone now 8 years, but damn, the good experiences I've had, she was the best experience I've ever had. And I get emotional now just thinking of it. 8 years later, but grief's a bitch. And my dad passed away. My mom's still alive. My dad passed away. I didn't even cry. And I love my dad. My wife passed away. And look, I get emotional 8 years later. Grief's a bitch. People don't tell you that. Someone you love. I mean, some people want their wife to die and they're, I guess, happy deep down, even though they feel guilty about it. But some people who love their spouse and it happens to them, they better hope that they both die together at 95 years old in the same bed, because it's not going to happen that way. And the rest of your life, grief is going to be a bitch, but no one tells you that.
Do you, I
How
know
many years
it's
you been
not to
married?
be
How
insulting or
many years
anything,
you
you
been
ever,
married?
I'm sorry, what?
How many years you been married?
26, or is it 27?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? And you love your wife?
yes, I do.
Well, you know what?
And I would be
Hopefully
very
you'll be
upset if
together when
she
you're
got the bit.
95,
Yeah.
and hopefully you'll die together. But you know what? Treasure her every day, because it goes in an instant.
But do you ever see yourself do you date? Would you ever have you at will
No
you?
one goes out with me. I'm too broad. No one goes out there. I'm so honest and stuff. Number one, I went on dating sites for a while. I got banned from 2 of them. I got banned from from OK Cupid and Tinder. You know why? I got banned. They wouldn't let me on them anymore.
Why? What did you say? What did
Yeah,
you
okay. The first one, I'll give you. Okay, I think you got to get 3 strikes and you're out. I don't know, but okay. Give you an example. The first one, the woman comes in. We're gonna go to Samba Sushi or whatever. So I go, meet me halfway. She lives in the Bronx. I live here on 75th Street on the west side. So we meet on 170th Street. I don't know. So we go there. She said, I go, I'm at the bar. I said, I'm at Sushi Shamba. She says, I'm at Samba Sushi. I said, it's 2 different places. I goes, well, it's okay. I'm only 20 blocks away, blah, blah. I say, well, get a cab and come here. So her first response is, well, can you pay for the cab? And I said, okay, I'm at the bar. I'll pay for the cab, but just pay him the guy and I'll pay him when he gets it. So I get it, and she comes in. We have a dinner, a little bit, not real dinner, but we have appetizers, drinks. It comes to like $200. So at the end of it, she goes, "You know I'm pay for play, don't you?" And I said, "You know what? I have nothing against pay for play, but you got to tell me that before we start. So you're fucking paying half of this." So I grab her. So she tries to leave, grab her purse and say, "No, you sit down and you give me half the money now." So it was a bad scene. It was all people of color instead of me, let's just say. And it didn't end too well. So that was one strike that she called up. But still, I'm right about that.
Jesus
And the
Christ,
second
okay.
one, yeah. Well, you know what? That's not right, okay?
Oh no, it's not, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
second one, I'm trying to give you examples of what happened. So the second one, a woman, she was a manager, general manager at the Marriott and stuff. We went to Joe Allen's, and it was a really good time. A good time. She comes and we're going to go out again. And so I said, listen, you know what? I'll take you on one of those boat things around the tip of Manhattan, those or
Circle
Adirondack
line,
cruises. It
whatever.
was at like
Yeah.
this time of year. It was nice fall day. Adirondack cruise. We go around tip of Manhattan. I'm gonna have dinner. We'll have dinner at the Red Cat. Red Cat was a great place. Used to be on 22nd and 10th Avenue. Then we'll go and have the boat thing, blah, blah, blah. So she goes, oh, I don't get off work until 6. I said, it's okay. I'll have a martini. I'll wait for you at the bar, whatever. It's no rush. So she finally calls me and says, okay, I'm done. And she lived on 34th and 12th. And the Red Cat was on 22nd and 12th.
Oh.
And I said, okay, we'll come. And she says to me, and it was after a few other experiences. She goes to me, do you have Uber? And I said, yeah, do you? So she goes, yeah, well, can you get me an Uber? And blah, blah. I said, I said, you can get your own Uber. And I didn't say this, but I'm paying for everything else. Just get your own fucking Uber. So she says, get me an Uber. And I said, I'm not your bitch and never will be. And I ended that one. And then she, I think, probably text them up or something. And there was another strike. And there was another couple examples. But let's just say that I don't know what it was. It wasn't me. It was them, that they were just not honest. They were, most of them are hookers. The ones that aren't hookers, I don't know. I mean, I went out. I mean, just.
Wow. Okay. I'm so glad I'm married.
Yeah, I'm telling you right. As my daddy said, there are 3 things better to rent than to buy: if it can fly, float, or fuck. Okay, remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
As Charlie Sheen says, you pay him to leave. That's where I go now.
This is a very strange segue, but how is your mom? Because you said your mom is
She's
still
93. She's kind of wacky. She looks great for 93. My mom was a gorgeous woman when she was young. Looked kind of like, I mean, I could probably, she looked like kind of like Marilyn Monroe with Grace Kelly undertones. And she was 93 now. And, aging beauty is kind of hard to go through, because you still think that guys are wanting to molest you and stuff, and they really aren't, but she thinks they are. So she'll say that, look, the guy came in, the guy who's sweeping the floor, he tried stuff. He tried to do stuff with me the other day, and I wouldn't let him. And she's always been like that, but it's very funny that she's like that. I'm just trying to show a picture of her, but here we go. But it's very funny that she's like that. Here's my mom. Even when she's like 40 something in this picture.
Look at my glasses. Wait, can you hold it a little? All we're seeing is reflection from higher up. You have to hold it to the lens. She looks cute, I gotta say.
Yeah, she was a cutie pie.
Yeah.
That's just her. You see that?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
And here's her right during Christmas. Right? Pretty girl, pretty woman. Very nice, very great mother. Great sense of humor. Great. She's great. She still has her mind. She can't walk. She had a stroke. I try and visit her as much as I can. I just visited her in August for her birthday. And my brother did. But she's gonna be gone one of these days soon. And it's kind of I kind of would maybe want someone with me who's, at least loves me. But it's so good. I had someone who adored me, and I don't know why she adored me so much, because she definitely loved me more than I loved. Usually in a relationship, someone loves the other person more than the other person loves them. I loved her, but she adored me. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, I'm okay looking. I'm pretty funny, but I don't have really any that much money and stuff, but she just adored me. So, love is blind, but we had a great relationship.
Lucky that you had her for the years that you had her.
I am so thankful, but it's funny because my apartment, I don't even change my apartment. I'm the type, I leave everything the same. If my wife came here 8 years later, all she'd see is my new Lazy Boy easy chair that I can watch my games with, and
Oh man. Wow. So what I would like to ask before we let Dave Mogentale go is, like, favorite all-time moment doing a play at 29th Street? Like was there a day that it all came together, or maybe some icon came to watch the show and you got to meet them?
Well, I would say, well, some of the most, I would say, well, I remember a play. I mean, I'm trying to think. There's probably other examples, but I did a play called Bobby Supreme there, where it was about the most shocking stand-up comic that ever lived. The opening monologue was me having sex with a dead, not really, but the monologue was about me having sex with a dead woman. That was the opening monologue. So, it was, we tried to be more play by written by J.B. Miller was trying to be the most shocking comic, and that's hard to do. So we had, now, I mean, maybe they'd even close us down, but we would have jokes on anti-Jew. We would just, we'd go. People would. So I remember I was doing the stand-up thing, and people would just leave. Like
Wow. Yeah.
5 people would just leave. So I remember I would just go, I'd walk down, and the theater, it was like you go in the back, you walk down one flight of stairs, and then you're out on the ground floor at 29th Street because it was one flight up. So I
Yeah.
remember one time I'd be in character still, and they would just rudely leave Bobby Supreme. So they'd be down the stairs, and I'd walk down the stairs during the play, I'd walk through the lobby, go down the stairs, and start saying brutal stuff right as Bobby Supreme, like stuff that I came up with that was tremendously witty, but I don't remember what I said at the time, depending on what they said. Come all the way back upstairs, the stairs, shut the door, come back on stage, and the audience would give me like a standing ovation just because I actually went after him like that. It was a great start to the play, and it was always something that I remembered thoroughly. So that was, I'd say, one example of. There were so many. I mean, but that was one example of something that was we still. Whenever I see Tim, who ran the theater with me, or Leo Farley, or other people, and we talk about old theater stuff, we always talk about things like that. It's a bond that you'll never lose. That what we had, even though we might have different, political beliefs, we don't see each other. We had something that was great, and we made it ourselves. And none of us had a lot of money or anything. We all had to work, and we just were there. And we had a landlord who didn't overcharge us rent, and we could rent it out when we weren't doing a play. And we kept our flats, and we kept our props, and we reused them. And we had really good production values for a little theater like that. And it was amazing what we did. I mean, who does that now in New York? I
Who
don't
can?
know.
Yeah.
You can't. You
Yeah.
can probably, especially after COVID, you could probably get some cheap places. But you can. But I mean, I was an animal. I mean, an animal. I would live there. My whole life, all I cared about waking up every morning was getting down there and finding a play, getting down there and doing the work that it took to do it, getting down there and rehearsing my part. Even when I wasn't in it, I would be down there all the time. And again, I had a backup system with a wife, with a job that lend itself perfectly for what I got to do. And I made people, and I just bullied other people in the theater to do stuff. That's what I actually ended up doing. Some of them were into it. We're into it good, but a lot of other ones were just, and I just had to bully them.
Well, yeah, you are I remember even back then that played into the characters you play because you just had that menacing sort of and you weren't directed, but something about you was just kind of like, whoa. So let me ask
Right.
you, last question for David
Yeah.
Mogentale. Give us a tip or two. What is the best thing to order at Barney
Well,
Greengrass?
that's a good question. Now, if you come in again, you're not going to have to sell your trinkets like you were saying when you first came in a couple months ago, because I'll take care of you. Just let me know when you want to come in. You got my phone number? Well, you just, yeah, come
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
You got to pay for one thing. I'll give you everything else for free. Come in with your wife. I'd like to meet her. What you should do is start with potato latkes, especially in the morning when they're first made. Later in the day, they get a little old and they refry, they re-put them in the oven, not as good. Get there around like 9, 10. Get the
yeah.
latkes. They're heavenly. So you get the latkes. Then what you do is, it's a fish place, even though the pastrami is very good, but it's not as good as Katz's. But I love the herring and cream sauce at Barney's is the best herring and cream sauce of any place. I've been to all of them. I'm not a Jew, but I love herring and cream sauce. I've been to Murray's. I've been to downtown. What's the one on Houston? I don't know. But anyway,
That's Sam's. Well, I
um,
keep forgetting the name, but yeah.
well, I've been to that one. I've been to all of them. Zabar's herring cream sauce at Barney's is so good. And you should take some home in the jar. They have those little old school glass jars. So good. I even take some home now, 33 years later. Um, and then what I would say is I love the sable. Sable is my favorite fish.
Yeah.
Codfish, black codfish. It's so expensive now because the Japs use it all for their sushi. So I like sable even more than sturgeon. The sturgeon after COVID, sometimes it's great and sometimes it's rubbery. I don't know what happened after COVID, but it's not always so good. Now you said it was
It was
so
great.
good your time, good for you.
It was
And
wonderful.
the
Yeah.
sable is always good. It's more fishy. You know what sable tastes like? More fishy,
Yeah.
more oily, but it just is heavenly. It's great with butter and onion. So what I would do is probably get, if you're by yourself, I'd get a one side, maybe Nova or Grovlox. We make our Grovlox there. It's cured, not
So it
smoked.
was sick
We
and
don't
then it
smoke
cured.
our own stuff. You can. It's illegal. We go to one of the smokehouses in Brooklyn to get it, Banner or Acme. But the Grovlox, we press it. We put vodka. We put dill. We put salt, pepper, and we press it for a couple days, and it becomes cured. So maybe one side Grovlox, one side Sable, cream cheese, tomato, onion, capers on a bialy or maybe an everything bagel. If your wife is there, someone's there, maybe I'd cut the Sable in half so you'd have four halves and you could try each one yourself.
Well,
That might be enough. Maybe if you're a little bit more adventurous, maybe you get a Nova Sable. Maybe I'd see if the sturgeon's good. I'd get a sturgeon, Sable, and whitefish salad platter. That's enough for
really?
two people. It comes with two bagels. It's a platter. You make this sandwich yourself. So, and then at the end, if you still have room, I'd get the blintzes. The
Oh, I will
blintzes,
have room. I will have room. There's no
yeah,
question. I will have room. For blintzes, yes.
you have blintzes. They're made with farmer cheese, sugar. They roll them. They make them in the thing. They roll them up. They broil. They put them under the broiler, and then you put powdered sugar on them, some sour cream, and some jam, and those are great. And
Oh,
then you're good. And you make sure you get fresh OJ. The OJ is squeezed fresh every day. It's ice cold. It's so good. I can't tell you. Everybody seems to love the coffee, even though I think it's okay, but nothing
well,
special. We have no espresso or anything, but that's all you should have right there.
yeah. Yeah, the fact is, I didn't get to mention that my wife is a vegetarian, but it doesn't matter because I will eat all of everything you said and leave her a
If you
blink.
eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she can have the blintzes. That's
Exactly.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
I'm a potato pancake. So,
She can have
so
the potato
that,
pancakes.
yeah. So she's fine. And then I will just shovel Sable and Nova and Gravlax into my raw.
Into your, yeah, pullet. Yeah, that would be good. You'd love that, Dave. We'll come in
I
sometime.
think I would love
You
that
got
a
my
lot.
number? So can I give you my number on here? Or I gotta wait until we're off here.
Oh, no, no. This is going to be
Oh, that's right. They all
broadcast.
call me. They
Yeah.
call me because I'm
Yeah.
so charismatic that they just can't
But
wait.
so I think I mentioned I'm in Baltimore now, but I get to be
Oh,
once or twice a year. So when I am in New York, I will, when you're away,
okay. How's
yes.
Baltimore as bad as they say it is?
Well, we live in Northern. We live
Oh, okay, so you're okay.
not
Okay.
in the place where I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
die every day. Yeah, no, we live in a nice, and you know
Sure.
what? Baltimore itself is not as bad as they say it is. So
Okay.
it's actually got some really cool stuff going on. So, but anyway, I'm thrilled that you're still a New Yorker, that you're serving unbelievable food that I am drooling for, and that we have such a great history of theater, of my senior stuff, and us talking together, a relationship that will continue as long as you can feed me. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking to David Mogentale. Are you going to write your memoirs or something so people can read a book or something?
Okay.
Maybe that
I
would be
mean,
your next.
do I have enough material for a book? I probably do.
Yeah.
I was thinking of doing a one-person show about my life, from that article, make it a little more dramatic, and I could flesh it out, and I can make it dramatic. But I'm always thinking no one's really going to care. Not that many people are going to care about it. I mean, what I say is that you see so many people. I mean, am I compared to other people? How interesting am I on a scale of 1 to 10 compared to all your other guests? I don't know.
I think from the stories that you've told, the
Yeah,
celebrities that you've dealt with,
yeah.
the job that you have now. I mean, there was a guy on my show a couple of years ago, Brad Zimmerman, and his whole thing is My Son the Waiter, and his whole show is about, in a very funny way, his life as a waiter. It's yes, I think you've got a show in you. If
Really.
I
So, a
remember.
scale 1 to 10, where am I in the scale of your guests in terms of interesting?
In
Be
terms
honest.
well, I will be honest that there's technical difficulties. Your voice has been okay, but we've had some patchy internet, so
We don't kill it.
you've been kind of
Well, don't worry about
yeah.
that. That we can't help.
No, I would say that you're somehow you're more energetic and like in your than even I am, and I'm pretty like
Oh,
so. It's like
right,
two type A's going at each other.
right.
So I'd say you're in the 8.5 to 9 range.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
that's
great.
yeah. You're not quite at Robin Hitchcock level, who had these brilliant phrasing sort of things that he would do. But
Right. Yeah, I'm not a wordsmith. I'm not like
Right.
a John Lithgow. You're right. I'm not a who's like Hitchens, like Christopher Hitchens.
Oh
You
no,
know,
right.
those guys are those guys are tremendous. I just sprayed it out there. I hope he probably talked too fast too, so they're not even gonna know what I
You do,
said.
yeah. So with the technical difficulties and the fast talking, there were things that I missed, and maybe our viewers will miss. But you've been a pretty fabulous guest,
Okay,
especially with the promise of some semi-free food coming at me in the near
right.
future. That moves you to a 9.5 right there.
Okay.
If
Well,
there's
you
free
fix those
steak coming
glitches.
into this mouth,
You get the free food. You fix those glitches for me.
there you go.
All right.
Thank you, man. So
Yes.
great to see David Mogentale in the neighborhood. Health to you, happiness, good things, good food. Good to see you.
You
Thank
too.
you for being with
Bye,
us.
buddy. All right.
Bye.